if you wish to use this for your morning, Rebecca in chat, if you wish to use this for your colleagues, then of course, feel free to do so. That will be fine. Okay, away we go, remote teams. And my background, just to let you know, was definitely teamwork because I was in IT to start with. And people have to do stuff that works and it all works together. And you also get a lot of arenas in that, a lot of situations in that arena, sorry, where the teamwork doesn't work. So over the years, working with various remote teams and exec teams, management teams, and delivery teams, bid teams as well. What is interesting is noticing the dynamics. There's no rocket science in today's quick outline, but I hope there's one or two thoughts of things that can be done. So I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to get going. I just would like to check with chat that you can actually see this slideshow. So let me just go to chat with you and let me have a quick look. If you just pop a quick yes into the chat, yes, you can see it, that will be great. I can't see the chat at the moment because I'm on full screen. So I'm just going to stop this full screen. I'm going to look back at the chat, check that you can see. Yes, you can see. And Rebecca, I'm very happy to get the recording to you and anybody who likes it, of course. Everybody can see. So away we go. I'll be in and out of the video, the slide deck and myself as we roll through. So let's quickly roll through. How do we make a great remote team? This is not just remote teams that operate pretty well, but how do we get remote teams to excel? That's the key question of this 40 or 50 minutes that we're going to run through. Make sure I've done for you 5 minutes to the hour by at least, so that you can pop off to your next meeting. And at the start of every event, what do? You talk about, okay, what people ask is, what are we going to get to eat? And also, when do we finish? So I've done the when do we finish, what you get to eat, entirely up to you. And the only other thing from a health and safety point of view, do make sure you know where your fire exit is. And I'm sure most of you do because you're probably at home. So that's that one nailed. Away we go into making a remote team. Some examples and some thoughts from what I've come across. I'll cover what a remote team is, because there's something pretty unique that we need to pinpoint. Talk about the leadership of the team that's going to get it there, making that team work. And here's the thing that stops remote teams working is when certain individuals aren't quite there yet. It's the thorny issue of performance, because remote teams tend to start to fall apart when they suspect that others are not putting their weight in. So I'm going to hit that one on the nose, as it were, right at the end. It's quite important. A recommendation about the Bible. The Bible of getting teams and people to work is Covey. If you've read Covey, well done. It's quite long, but it's very good. There are summarized versions on the web. Feel free to go get those. But I would hugely, hugely recommend it as a really, really key book. I'm going to chat now just to ask you whether you've read Covey or come across Covey or not. So I'm doing a stop share and I'm just having a look at chat. Just put in the chat whether you'd recommend or not Stephen Covey's book. No from Lee. Lee, I'll tell you what, I'll send you the copy if you let me know your address. Those of you have it but haven't read it, Rebecca, that's really honest. Dip in and out of it. It's the accumulated wisdom of probably several hundred years. And it's one of those management books you think, oh, not another management book. But you actually do get some real gems out of it. So it is very few books you'd recommend, but I'd recommend going to it. And so, yeah, thank you for that. You've read it. It is a bit long, isn't it? It's not too bad as long as you do it in pieces. The summaries are very, very good. So I'd recommend that as a kind of a scene set, and on we go to the content. What is a remote team? Okay. So if we're running remote teams, or if we're working with managers and we're in HR or L&D and we're supporting managers in remote teams, here's something often gets confused. Often people have a set of experts which they think is a team, and others have a very clear team. And what is very important is that the manager of that unit or that team is clear about whether he or she wishes to build a team or whether they just simply wish to run a team of experts, a set of experts. And running a set of experts is often the best way to do it, because you can get the individual targets You combine all the output, bingo, you've got your results, and everybody's happy because they like to work in their reservoir of expertise. And that often happens in law firms. It often happens in IT as well. In delivery for the client and for the customer, we probably need to move into team and certain process improvements where there is a common goal and team targets, not just individual targets. And this is the hub of it, whether the team has a target for delivery, not just the individuals. So again, back to chat, just type in team or individual. If you're within a team that is targeted for team targets, or if you're simply targeted on individual targets. So I'm going to type that into chat myself. Team or individual is the question. So for you, are you working for completely individual targets or part of a group? Philip, thank you for being that. Individual from Sue. And if we are running individual targets, there's no problem with that. I mean, that's part of really, really good delivery. However, if we wish to get a team to be built, going back to the screen here, then the manager or the team leader needs to bear in mind that team targets are the way to pull people together, a unit achieving the same goal, like a sports team, for example, achieving a goal. Now, that's okay in theory, isn't it? So how do you get there? This is the question. How do you set team targets that are meaningful? And how do you encourage a really, let's say, inexperienced team leader, somebody who is new to the job, wishes to get going but doesn't know quite how to do it, a little bit insecure? How do you get them to do this? Off we go. Well, there are key elements to pop in there. Firstly, the vision and the pride of the team is an important component to drop into the mix. And then we've got something else to drop into the mix, which I'll get onto in a second, which is the rules and the protocol of the team. Now, what the heck do I mean by this? What do you mean by this, Mark? The rules and the protocol, and the vision and the pride. Well, usually in management training, right, we start off with, you've got to have a vision for your team. And I think it works the other way around. I think we have to flip this. From my experience, a team leader going into a team unit and saying, we've got a vision for the team, actually causes more hassle to start with, because the people are still getting used to their own views, their own opinions, what they want out of the team. And the critical element of a great team feel remotely is collaboration and consultation, not an imposition of a vision from the leader. So I'm going to go to rules and protocol first, if you don't mind, if that's okay. What do I mean by that? Okay, you may recall from history now, isn't it? A long time back, Clive Woodward was the rugby coach of the England team that won the World Cup. And if you scan the screen there, you'll see 10 rules, 10 protocols that the team, the rugby team had to follow in order for the team to be cohesive, right? So have a quick scan down. No surprises there, right? The surprise is how these rules were found. That's the surprise. So I was very lucky to watch Clive Woodward present this last year. And I must say, I would absolutely work for that guy. He was completely on board and totally understood how to get the team to do stuff rather than the managers running around chasing stuff. These 10 rules didn't come from Clive Woodward. These 10 rules, he calls them rules, let's call them protocol. These 10 protocols came from the team themselves. So what he did was he got the team themselves and said, I'm going to leave you in a room. I'm going to give you a chance to have a talk and like you to come up with the main rules that you'd like to operate by. And what we're going to do is have a rule book, a protocol book, if you like. And then we're going to add to them through experience. My role as a leader, said Clive Woodward, is simply to say yes or no to the rule. I'll either accept it or not, but I won't be involved in the discussion. This is stuff that you own. If you want an amusing rule they came up with, it's what do you do when you're not selected for the English rugby team? What's your behavior? And so he left them in a room to discuss that. What are you going to do? And they come up with, we're going to do 3 things, Clive. So what are those 3 things? Well, firstly, we're going to go to the coach and we're going to say, you've made the right choice in not selecting me. Well done, good choice. Second thing we're going to do is going to go to everybody who was selected, and we're going to give them a handshake and a hug and say, well done, I'm really pleased for you. Which is impressive. The third thing, said Sir Clive, yeah, we're going to go back to the hotel room and we're going to trash it because we're so frustrated. So obviously they didn't invoke the third rule they hastened to add, but they had rules about behavior in every situation that the team had designed. And those are some examples. So here we go. Team protocols, before we get to the vision of the team, is simply the remote team manager saying to the team, what protocols are we going to have to work together? Could you create them, please? I can give you some examples, but could you create them? They're created by the team. Here's a Clive Woodward tip. New members to the team were introduced and they were asked to look at the protocol book, comment on it, and add a new protocol from their experience of being elsewhere. The protocols were reviewed regularly, and the leader's role, as I've said, is simply a yes or a no. So team protocols made the English rugby team gel. Basically, it really pulled people together because they owned their own behavior. So within remote teams, and we've got these team rules running back at Goodfoot, which we review regularly because we found it works. And the team themselves say, right, we would like social meetings every week as a team. We'd like to have a drink, a beer, a coffee every week. We would like to, when we're dealing with an issue, we'd like to deal with one issue at a time. We would like to separate issues A and B. We would not like to do everything in big, long meetings. Another protocol is listening to each other. But these are all things that the team have put together in their protocol manual. So there you go. That's the start of getting a team remotely to feel gelled. And it's not the leader saying this is where we're going. It's the team saying this is how we want to be in our behavior. And that is constantly reviewed with the leader simply observing that process. There's a thought to start off with. Okay, so now I'm going to move on, having indicated the little protocol reminder down at that bottom right-hand corner there, to the next thought. The dynamic leadership of this unit is going to really pull that gelling into a direction. And this is what a good leader is, right? So what the good remote team leader does, and I'll talk about the percentage of effort on this in a while. Traditionally, team leaders spent a lot of time working and some time managing the team. And it's all changed. To make it work, it's all changed. So a good leader now leads the team, not the job. And not only in what we're going to do, but how we're going to do it. Again, what our behavior is by setting an example, building the protocols with the team or enabling the team, and then moving into the team leadership arena. So our team managers, our team leaders need a mindset change that says, actually, my job here isn't to lead the job, it's to lead the team to do the job. Now, I know this is old hat to many of you watching, you're doing this anyway, but many people remotely have to do a reset because I've talked to quite a few that are panicking. Should I step in? Should I ask them how they're doing? Or am I asking them too much how they're doing? And it's really difficult to get that balance. So there needs to be a reset from the team leader, certainly when we're doing remotely. So here we go. So what a good leader does is articulates the vision, collaborates on how the vision is going to be implemented, and then revisits regularly. And it's this word vision that really throws people out. Like, team leader, what do you mean a vision? We've got a company vision, so that's fine. We've got a company mission statement. And vision is a bit of a grand word, isn't it? It kind of scares people off. But the ordinary, female, male, whatever kind of approach we have, team leader, the ordinary person can bring a vision in. And the way they do this is as follows. I'm going to ask your view on this. The vision, and you'll see it in the last sentence there that I popped on the screen. The vision of the team is basically one quick sentence describing what great looks like for this team. Now, it might be great for the next 3 months. It might be our vision until Christmas is this. It might be our vision for the next 2 years is this. But we're not talking about the grand vision as for the business for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We're talking about micro visions for the team for discrete periods. So coming out of COVID, our vision of this is this. Working through to the end of the year, this is our vision. And the vision is, what does great look like for us as a unit? How do we describe how we are going to be brilliant as a team? Over to you in chat now, because there's 2 ways of doing this, aren't there? There's the leader generating that sentence, or there's the team generating that sentence together. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to jump to you now on chat. What do you reckon? The team should generate this, or the leader should generate this? Over to everybody, just pop in your thoughts. Sue's gone for team. We should have a vote system on this, but a bit of both, says Lee. Lee, I like your style. It's really, really cool. It's really, really good. Very laid back. And yes, a little bit of both. Need a little bit of steering. Depends on the maturity of the team, says Philip. Philip, that's a real observant point, actually. A really observant point. My suggestion is this. I think I'm going to go with Lee. As I think I will go with Lee on this, because I think actually what you have to do, don't you, is to you have to give some steering. And what Rebecca is saying is that the team generates initially, the leader generates initially. I think that's what you possibly mean, Rebecca, yeah? And the team then starts to adjust it. What I suggest is, yep, says Rebecca, thumbs up. And yeah, thank you for your comment to Phil there, Sue. Phil's right. It does depend on the maturity. Let us say then, let's take this maturity point. Let us say we've got a very, very young team, very immature. Then absolutely, there'll be more balance towards the leader saying, look, this is what I think our vision could be. What do you think? And proposing a couple of vision versions, because we're talking about micro visions. We're not talking about massive visions for how we're going to overtake the world. We're talking about, this is our vision for service and delivery. And in Colas Rail, for example, the payroll department had a vision. And the vision for 3 months was, we want to get the pay on time during this technical transformation. They had a technical handover onto another system. So it was a really clear vision for that very short period. So the leader could offer it. And then as the team is more mature, absolutely, you just can move over to entirely the team generating it. So the team saying, look, this is how we feel. And the best visions come out of that, exactly as Sue said. The best visions come out with the team really engaged in a discussion about what's our vision for this period. What are we trying to be for this period of time? And it's actually quite useful to make those time periods fairly short and definable. That's why I've mentioned twice, I think, coming out of COVID, our vision till Christmas. And then you can get, so what's our vision for this year or for these next first quarter of next year, given that home working is going to become much, much, much more a part of the way that we work. So I kind of fudged that, haven't I? I kind of gone with Lee, who said a bit of both. I've gone with Sue because Sue said the team generating is the best. I agree with that. And I've gone with Phil, it depends on the maturity. We're all right, actually. We know how to do this. The leader takes suggestions and the team get involved in these discussions. And this generation of what we are and the visitation back, going back to that circle on the left, we revisit regularly, how are we doing against this vision? And I would suggest, definitely within remote teams, that there are several remote team meetings per week, but they are short and they are on specific subjects. They are not spread out long things. In other words, review the vision in a short meeting on its own and then sign off and go get a coffee. Don't put it into another meeting or into another long team meeting. Have several short meetings. So you could have once a month a vision review meeting, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Once a month, a protocols review meeting, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's it. So it's really concise and short. Remotely, that works. People get tired on Zoom, as you will be soon with my voice. People get tired of long meetings going on and subjects moving on. Keep them really, really, really crisp. And these topics of vision and protocol, slot them into time slots. Great, we're moving on through. So that's set up the where and the how with the vision and the protocol. So now the team is aware of where it's going to go, that's the vision, and the how it's going to go, that's the protocol. My suggestion is start with a protocol. This is something a team can easily talk about, then move on to a vision and do that in 2 separate meetings and then build from there. That's great. On we go. Making this work. Back to chat again, because just love your thoughts on this. We now need to work on the what. What is it that we're going to do to be effective? What is it that we're going to do to produce? And broadly, teams break into 2 types, or people in teams. They're either doing project work. This is defined end date stuff with quality and timescales measurement. And it's generally proactive managing a situation. Routine work or maintenance work, such as running a help desk, tends to be repeated, it is open-ended, it's a long process, and it tends to respond to events. Over to chat again. I just checked. Are you working generally yourself in project work or routine work? Or is it a bit of both? If so, what's the percentage? So there's the question. Are we working in project work or routine work? I'm going to grab a quick swallow of coffee whilst we do this. And in terms of your workload, which percentage would be routine, which percentage would be project? So back to chat again for that, whilst I grab a quick drink. So Sue's on 90% project. Rebecca, yeah, that's, I was going to say it's a good situation, Rebecca. It's actually quite tough. 50-50 is quite tough. Routine 80% and occasional projects, Zara. Righto. Lee is with Sue on this, probably 90% project work. Now, getting project work done and reviewing it is quite different to getting routine work done. One really helpful thing to get a remote team working is to partition the discussions with routine work and project work. Because if you ask certain questions on project progress, the routine folk are now getting bored. And if you ask the routine folk the questions, or we're talking about routine work, the project folk are now getting bored. They are 2 different animals, really. So one good question for the team is, how are we going to allocate our review meetings and our progress meetings and split them between the routine element and the project element? That really, really does help. There are then some different sets of questions to ask for projects and different sets of questions to ask for routine. So routine is all about, are we hitting the goals, the targets, the response targets? How is the process? Can we review it? Can we improve it? Are the stakeholders happy with it, etc. Project work is, what is the deliverer, the recipient deliverer, the client want to receive? When do they want to receive it? Have they changed the goalpost? What's the replanning? What's the risk planning? What's the estimates, etc., etc. So it's useful to separate them. Now, maybe the same people attend the meetings with the routine hat on or the project hat on, and that tends to help motivate. Because what I have seen, I have to admit this, and I have seen this in a French construction company we work with. You go to a team review meeting, and they talk about everything. They talk about absolutely everything. How is this project going? How is the support going? How is the recruitment going? Now, recruitment's an ongoing process for them. The projects were projects. And it's, my goodness, the whole blur of different questions going on. So separation is quite good. Okay, 10:32. We're doing great. We're going to be finishing round about 10:45, 10:50. So I'll get you in five minutes earlier than expected, unless we have some long chats afterwards, which we can do. So what do we do? What we need to do is to have some very clear tips, given that we can separate and have some conversations about project or routine work. What are the main tips generically? And there are some main tips on the left. Remote teams work really allocation of work. So Mark, would you be able to do this by Monday? Wendy, could you do that by Thursday? I've just got a little sign. My internet connection is unstable. It's gone away again. So in chat, if you see me slow down or disappear, do just say. Let me just quickly check chat. I'm going to see if I've got any comments. I've got no comments at the moment, so I'm hoping it's not because you've all gone switched off with the internet, but that you can actually see and hear me. Just pop a yes if you wouldn't mind into the chat if I'm still going, because I did get an internet problem. Thank you so much. I got you have an internet connection message. So okay, so we're on again. Public tracking of work. That is an openness about how it's going. Project teams are generally quite good at this because they usually use Gantt charts or Reiki charts in order to do this. But it's very, very healthy remotely because it's so easy to hide away in our own boxes remotely. Ownership by the individual for public reporting. So how's it going, Wendy? How's it going, Mark? Could you brief the team, all of us, not just brief the team leader in a one-on-one conversation? And here's the one. Public inquiry or team inquiry about how each team member is doing. So I get up in front of you guys and I'm working with you and you're my bosses and you say, how's it going, Mark? I say, right, this is how it's going. And I am open to a public or a team questioning on how I am doing it, and what the impact is. Do I need any help? It's open book. And some thoughts to pop. I'd suggest for team leaders or people allocating the work that a one-on-one pre-conversation prior to how's it going publicly is really, really healthy. This does a couple of things. Firstly, it nails the issue before the public discussion. Secondly, it cements the one-on-one relationship of the leader and the individual, because we want very close one-on-one relationships as well as group relationships. I've mentioned this before, keeping work progress visible through a dashboard or through Reiki Matrix or other methods of tracking how progress is going. There's lots of tools now, and if you're really stuck, get a spreadsheet and block out rows in colors and make a Gantt chart. So this is how we're doing. Can everybody see how we're doing? So important when you've got remote teams talking together that everybody's looking at the same thing. Because if I say to you, yeah, the project's going well and sort of 70% complete and going to be done by Christmas, it's a little vague, but if I presented to you a visual chart of what's left to be done and how I'm doing, you've got it. So visually is much, much clearer. Here you go. So in the team meetings, if you really want a great remote team, rotate the chair around, not the same person running the meetings every time. So Wendy's going to do it next week. Mark's going to do it that week. And it's going to give everybody a chance of chairing a review meeting or an improvement meeting or a communications meeting or a brainstorm meeting, and rotate around, giving each team member a chance to run the show. Because these meetings that I'm talking about are short, right? They're not long 2-3 hour jobs. These, I would so much emphasize, do go for, if you can, 20-40 minute meetings. That's it. Then stop, go get a coffee, go do something, come back, do another different meeting, rather than long ones. Time for Q&A from each person. I don't know about you, but one of the things I'm longing for, because I'm working remotely, is to be listened to. I just want somebody to listen to me. So I'm on my own all the time, maybe working at home, maybe with family. And to have colleagues who will listen to me and I can unload a little bit is so important in a remote team. So Q&A for each person to be able to discuss and talk about what they're doing. It does extend the time of that meeting, which is why we need more meetings, and we need them. There's more time spent. There's less coffee meetings, coffee machine meetings. There's fewer of those, right? So we need to set a scene where people are allowed to talk and we give space and we give time. That again that's the chair person to give time for that to happen. So what you see on the left now is in bold, 2080 to 8020. So what am I driving at here? I've hinted at this a little earlier. Team leaders traditionally, in my experience, and I'll include myself, spend 20% of the time running a team, 80% of the time doing the job. And really the mentality switch now for great remote teams is to flip that around. 80%, 4 days a week of effort by the team leader, team manager, making the team work, doing the job. Now that's how I'm going to manage the next team. This is work, right? And this is work that the remote leader needs to, so their workload changes in its nature quite dramatically. Here's a thought to just add to this 80% of collaboration. A quick signal is low from Sue. And how do you create those water cooler moments from Rebecca? I'll answer that one, Rebecca. I got a note as well, Sue, that said internet connection again. Sue, as you said, it's low. Is it okay for you now? Could you just type in if you're still kind of connected? I shall wait. Not getting a message back from Sue. So I just want to check. Yep, I've got you, says Phil, so I'm going to continue. It may have been Sue's, maybe my end Sue says, but she's back. Better now. Maybe it's I am remote. I won't say exactly where I am. I'm not in England, so perhaps that's what it is. Not nearly in England, nearly at the border. What do I mean by initiate collaboration? Well, here we go. What the really good team leader does to make a really, really good remote team is to initiate team discussions on non-immediate work issues. Social times, absolutely. Go have a drink of wine or a beer or a coffee or a sandwich each. Firefighting, reviews, how's it? Occasions of the kind of together with collaboration. Let's do some psychometric personalities. Process review. We're going to pick one of these subjects. We're going to discuss collaborate. Maybe it's not blend. Team I am here to admit I'm here. Okay, let me just check if I can get everybody else in this last run through. I am here. Okay, guys. Lee, you're saying yes, you can. That's fantastic. Couple had to leave. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. Zoom just threw me out. It just completely canned it and threw me out. Thank you, Philip. My internet was fine. I just did a check, but Zoom said go away and just closed down on me. So I will continue through and end on the last slide. So Philip, thank you so much. And Zara, yep, I get that. And I think Sue, I noticed that Sue might rejoin. She's actually, Sue is in the waiting room. She's coming back in again now. So here we go. So let's see if, once Sue has joined in, then I will finish off and just be on time. Philip, thank you for letting me know. Still says Sue is joining. I think I'm being a bit speculative here, but I'm aware that Zoom has had issues last week, and this looks to me like a Zoom issue, not an internet issue, but we shall see. Sue is still in the process of joining, and looks like Sue has joined back in again now. Okay, Sue, hi. If you're there, thank you for rejoining. Okay, everybody, nearly rolled up on this one. It seems from what I was looking at, I got thrown out of Zoom, just disconnected the whole meeting, which is not an internet issue because my other internet stuff I checked was working fine. So I do apologize hugely for that. I'm just going to go to share. I'm going to take Rebecca's suggestion and just close off my video just to save bandwidth and move on to the last piece. Not quite there yet. So before I do that, a quick final bit in chat. Can you hear me? Loud and clear from Philip. Hi from Sue. For those of you that managed to hang on in there, just type a yes if you can hear me. I've switched off my video, but can you hear me and see the screen? So just type that into chat and then Lee's got me. Lee, I really appreciate your patience. Thank you. Philip, thank you, mate. I really appreciate that too. And then I think it was Zara was probably in there too. So guys, and Sue can see the screen as well. The final bit then, away we go, the final piece. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for sticking with it and the tech glitches as well. Another 5 minutes max to not quite there yet. Remote teams work well when everybody feels that everybody is pulling their weight. And I'm kind of calling it as it is because I've met quite a few remote teams that do gossip a bit about others they feel are not pulling their weight. And I've met one or two where everybody is hugely supportive and believes everybody is. And the difference in atmosphere is massive. So how do we get the great remote teams working? What's very, very key and critical is frequency of contact and discussion of output, keeping a handle on performance as it fluctuates. And on the right there, what I've done is some thoughts for the team leaders amongst us to take away, which are not new thoughts. They've been around for ages and ages and ages in terms of watching the conversations and being mindful of who may be lowering their output a little, maybe for personal reasons, maybe for social reasons, family reasons, and then getting on it very, very, very quickly. Very quick conversations, agreeing output, as you can see from those bullets, What if we work this way? What is your role? I will give you temporary support, and make sure it's temporary, because actually the most important point is the next one, which pass the problem back to the person to solve. That's part of the management of the team. I know that's another subject entirely, but it's this, not micromanagement of the task, but conversation about output, which is really, really, really important. And frequent contact, not talking about output every time, but frequent contact with a person. And then when you're talking output, the output conversation will be much, much more simple. And I'm going to finish, you'll be pleased we're nearly there now, with this particular view of making sure it gets addressed and gets done. If we work on work allocation alone as a team manager, team leader, we're going to be 50% sure that our remote team is going to work. So if we're just focusing on the job, we'll do it 50% of the time. We'll be 50% effective. If we want to be 90% effective, this is what I'm suggesting we do. Have a clear vision, we've covered that. Have a protocol and start with that, is what I suggested before. Frequent individual conversations as well as frequent short team meetings, and make work progress and problems that people are having public and available for public discussion. And that 80-20 change, 80% of the effort now on enabling the team to work will have the effect of making that remote team great. How do you get 80% of the time? That's another big question that we have to go up the hierarchy to argue for our resources, but that's the way that those resources are going to work. So they're the 4 topics that I've run through, and what I'm going to do is quit now. I'm going to just quickly cycle back right through the presentation. You can see it flying in front of your eyes, I think, at the moment. I'm going to very, very quickly review them, and it'll take about a minute so that you can gel with what's useful. Then I'll ask you, if you don't mind, in chat, what is it that stuck with you today? What is it that your takeaway for today that made you think, I'll remember that point. So we started with, what is a remote team? We talked about experts in the team, having a vision, building some rules and protocol. We talked about Clive Woodward's general protocol book and how the team can create those. We then moved on to the leadership of the team, running the opportunity to have a vision. And we did discuss whether the leader or the team should generate that vision. We kind of agreed a bit of both, depending on the maturity of the team, exactly as Philip's saying. We then moved on to making the team work, being clear about the difference between routine and project work and getting those into separate meetings, and then having very clear questions and discussions prior to making work progress public. And finally, we moved on to having an idea of topics the team can discuss, and also moving on to keeping tabs with output of each individual so that we're not losing the momentum and we're staying on top of the output, with some thoughts about close management. And finally, to get that right, 80% of the balance of our time is the bottom row there, building 90% certainty of our great team. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to go to chat. Sue's off to another meeting. It's now 5:02. Time to finish. And anybody who's left, feel free just to type into the chat what gelled with you. From me, it's a huge thank you to everybody for coming along. And take care and have a wonderful weekend, which is coming up soon. So Philip, thank you so much. Lee, thanks so much for your thoughts. Catherine, for protocols, thank you for sticking with it, Catherine, despite the ups and downs of the internet. Guys, if you want to, Lee or Catherine, if you want to contact me anytime at all about questioning and just having ideas on the phone about this sort of stuff, just do it. It'd be fun to talk. And wish you all very, 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 very well. Fantastic time this weekend with lots of sun, and I hope Leeds is okay. and comes through the lockdown. Okay, and I hope your family are okay, everybody, and everybody around you is safe. So goodbye and thank you. Lee, take care. Thank you, Philip. Okay, Philip, happy to talk to you about leadership content. I'm happy to share stuff with you too. Catherine, thank you. Take care. Take care, everybody. Take care, Philip.